To warm
Good.
up. Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. Well, good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here with you and INCOSE Sweden to share a little bit about our Smart Cities initiative and what we've been doing for the past few years and give you an update and hopefully entice you to want to join our group. There's a lot going on, and I hope at the end of all of this, you find a place where you can plug in. So I'll introduce myself, and I'm so excited to have my co-chair here as well that you can see. So I'll actually start with Marcel. Marcel van de Ven is a senior systems engineer for Heijmans in the Netherlands, and he is of interest working on the Schiphol airport at the moment. So getting into some really good infrastructure, public infrastructure delivery at the moment. But Marcel has been part of this initiative since the very beginning and is absolutely integral to making everything that we do work properly. He also has significant participation with the infrastructure working group and several other working groups within INCOSE. So, and I want to put out a little snip. Marcel is going to receive an award this year at the International Symposium for his participation in so many working groups over the years. So he's going to be recognized for that. So thank you, Marcel, and congratulations on your upcoming award.
Well done.
And I am Jennifer Russell. I am in Kansas City, Kansas, on the Kansas side in the United States. I work for a public infrastructure engineering firm called Garver. And I work a lot in water and transportation projects in the United States in the public sector, where we don't have a lot of systems engineering right now, and we are working diligently to integrate more systems engineering concepts into that domain. So I work a lot with cities. Municipalities are some of our primary clients, and so I'm particularly passionate about this initiative and supporting our communities to be the best they can and to share our systems engineering concepts to help improve the places that we live, because we all live or engage with cities in our lives. So so here we go. So let's get started. So we started this initiative back in 2019 and took a little bit of time to recognize what was going on in the smart city space. Clearly to us, and probably many people who might know what a smart city is or can think about the concept, is that we can understand that a smart city is a system of systems at least. And there are so many connections. We've heard about smart cities concepts and technologies, and not all of them have been really successful. So we started to, as a group, as we began our process, we said we need to really take some moments and understand what's going on in the smart city space. So we really took about a year from 2019 to 2020 to get ourselves up to date and understand what was going on in the environment. And what we learned was smart cities are a moving target, 100%. There wasn't a consistent definition of what a smart city was. Everyone had their own evaluation characteristics, their own tools, their own metrics, and one smart city in one location might not be a smart city in another location. And much of what we were seeing was focused on just the technology. It was just about how the technology was applied and what cool new things that could be done with the technology. And over the course of that year, we started to dig a little bit deeper, and we started to see that there were some serious lack of success that municipalities were facing, and they just weren't seeing the kind of benefit that they had expected they would get from this smart cities technology. So that lack of success, actually, over the past few years, we've noticed that cities have transitioned away from using the term smart cities because it was applied poorly to begin with. And that lack of success has diminished the power of the concept and the term. I think we can bring it back. I think smart cities are what we all should be aiming for. And I think we have a solution that we would like to share with you and with so many more about how we make it to that next step. So today, I would like to let you in a little bit and give you what we see as our smart cities overview, our INCOSE role, how we participate in that. We would like to share with you the definition, framework, and metrics that we've developed for a smart city. And then we'll talk about next steps, not outreach, how we get there, and hopefully you'll join along with us. So early, I referenced that many of the instances that we were finding demonstrated that the smart city was not coming to fruition. It was not fulfilling the dreams and wishes that the technology providers had shared. And what we are starting to see and what we have been seeing is that some of these technology-focused smart cities are rethinking their approach. And this is an example from a city near San Diego in California. It's a beautiful little beach community. And the chief innovator officer for that organization said, success in a smart city has nothing to do with the technology and has to do with people. We need to invite the public into co-creating these experiences. And that is what we think we've found a way to do, is to create a platform that we can engage the public and really make these smart cities work. So we're very excited, particularly to reach out perhaps to Mr. David Graham and see if he would appreciate our concepts. But what we do know is that regardless of how the smart city technology was applied, cities still face serious problems. There's pollution, there's hunger, they have to deal with education, of course there's traffic, and the city, the municipality, has to deal with all of those things and is expected to provide services for the public that are consistent, equal, and provide benefit to the municipality. We know that the smart cities are facing serious hardships with their technological applications at times. And so in 2020, when we were really taking a look at this, we started to see evidence that people were trying to understand why these smart cities were failing. And there are dozens of reasons. There are dozens of reasons listed on the right side of this slide here. But there probably aren't dozens of reasons. And so we kept digging. We realized that we need a common definition for a smart city. And even as we were in the progress, and about a year ago today, this announcement came out, this article was published, that the idea of a smart city is fashionable, but we have no common definition, which was perfect timing because that's what we were actually working on, is what is that common definition? Because when you look at a city and you look at the difference between Stockholm and what a smart Stockholm may look like versus a smaller rural city, the smartness of those two places need to be different, but we should be able to evaluate them in the same way, and we think we'll be able to do that. So I'll let you and share with you a little bit about our INCOSE role and what we have planned, how we see ourselves fitting into this. So we do know, as Tom mentioned at the very beginning, that INCOSE has 55 working groups that specialize in all sorts of different aspects that are all necessary and related to a smart city. So almost by definition, INCOSE is set up to have the resources in order to inform and improve operations in a smart city, reaching from our system security engineering to system safety, to managing complex systems and infrastructure. So INCOSE is uniquely qualified, I think, to be able to have contribution to the smart city. So we are reaching in and leveraging those working groups and reaching out for participation as we develop our, as we continue to develop. So a little bit about our path, and really what's important is that it's been a couple years that we've been working on this, and it from the outside looks really slow. We had a lot of discussions, and as you always do at the very beginning, it took a long time for all of us to understand and come to the same platform about what our definition means, how to apply it, and what we will do with it. So we have definitely an international community that is the heartbeat of our chapter, or our initiative. We've got a significant effort contributed from our TUS partners in Mongolia. We have partners in India that regularly participate. Of course, Marcel in Europe. We recently had some Spanish contingents from INCOSE join us as well, and then several US members also. So we really have an international community participating, which I relish. So we know that we have this strong IT basis that was almost a solution looking for a problem. There are IT standards, ISO, IEEE, there are lots of smart city standards out there in terms of how the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure should connect. But each city is unique, and so it's difficult to characterize and evaluate those cities in their different uniquenesses. So we have proposed a definition of metrics. It is in production right now with the INCOSE team, and I'm so excited. We should have that ready to publish shortly after the International Symposium coming up. So I can't wait to share that with everyone. We're working on a stakeholder management plan, because recognizing that the stakeholders are so critical to any municipality's success. And then we're also working on a top-down model and perhaps some use case or solution models as well. So stay tuned for a little more on that here coming up. So our initiative, our guiding purpose is to support communities. We realize that as systems engineers, we can leverage our tools and principles to share concepts, application, technology, and services, which ironically turns out to be an acronym for CATS. And if anyone's heard of the phrase herding cats, is difficult to smart cities are sort of like herding cats. So that's really our purpose there, is to help herd the cats. But our goal is to help create a model that illustrates the resources within a city that enable interconnectivity, reuse, and consistency within that municipality. I know we can get there, we're systems engineers. So we have a products plan, and our definition is complete. The metrics are complete. We have one case study that we're building on right now, and that again is our TUS partners in Mongolia, the capital city of Ulaanbaatar. They have been collaborating with that capital city for the past couple of years and piloting our concepts. So that seems to be going well so far and proving some benefit. We recently completed an evaluation of the city of Monterey, California as well, and applied our analysis to identify how well that city was smart. We have our stakeholder list and management plan. We're working on an architecture template for smart cities, and we would like really to, now that we're getting a body of work, to share a lot of this with other smart cities publications and get our information out and start sharing our concepts outside of INCOSE to help inform the greater community. We do have several collaborations, several formal collaboration agreements. We are working diligently with IEC, the International Electrotechnical Corporation. We have a formal arrangement with them to work on a smart cities architecture, reference architecture. And so that collaboration is ongoing. ISO recently joined that collaboration as well. So we're very excited to be a part of that and to share our systems engineering knowledge in that realm. We have a loose partnership with IEEE and some involvement with several members of the IEEE Smart Cities organization. And we're starting to do some outreach to local municipalities. We all live somewhere, we all work somewhere. And so if we have an opportunity to connect with some of those municipal planners, city council members, mayors. We've been offering some of our concepts to see if we can entice more conversations so that we can help influence our own communities. And then coordination with smart cities organizations across the globe. Recently, Marcel was able to present and start to build a partnership with EU Tech, which was fantastic. Thank you, Marcel. Our TUS team has reached out to the UN, the chair for Asian economic development and security. And so we have a connection with them and have given a presentation to them as well about our concepts. So a lot of outreach is going on outside of INCOSE, and it's been really fun and rewarding to participate in that. So let's talk about what we really need to, which is how do we build a smart city that's aligned with the needs of the residents? And after our analysis, we came up with 3 key foundational concepts. First, humans belong at the center of the smart city, not technology. Second, that our objectives are dynamic and adjust over time. So whatever evaluation metrics, whatever goals that a city sets, they've got to be flexible enough. Those future requirements need to be defined well enough that they can adjust over time. And then we need to be able to link the data solutions with the human needs. Because if you just have data without solving a problem, it's not really doing anything. And it needs to be tied in with that feedback loop so that we can do something about what the data is telling us. So we realized that it's time to take a different thinking style. And as we were approaching our solutions and recommendations, we had to recognize as well that each of the departments and functions within a municipality, especially the larger ones, have a very significant and important role. The role of the water department in a municipality is very different and no less important than the role of the fire department. However, the missions of those are absolutely dependent upon each other, because without water, the fire department cannot perform its functions in putting out fires. So although they have distinct functions, they're absolutely connected together. And as those owners of the organizations, the owner of the water department or the owner of the fire department, don't necessarily recognize that they may be looking at 2 different sides of the same aspect. So we proposed a new paradigm to take a look at what should be happening. And I will leave this up here so you can take a look at it. It's a lot of words, and once our technical product is released, I offer, please read it and you'll see in there what we're talking about. But one thing that I would really like to focus on is number 3, that technologies make smart cities. That's the legacy paradigm. And we think that that's probably part of the root and error of how smart cities have been built so far. Our proposed paradigm is that humans build the smart cities using the technologies. Humans develop the technologies that support our activities, which therefore build smart cities. And so it's just flipping the idea on its head. It's not about the technology, it's about humans using the technology to improve our lives and make things better at its connections. So I hope when our product comes out, you'll take a look and read into this in more depth. But let's get into a little bit of the definition, metrics, and framework here so I can share with you what we're proposing. So here's the meat of it. This is the good stuff. So our smart city definition provides for evaluation and comparison. So we propose that a smart city is capable of identifying its problems and mitigating the root causes by generating and processing engineered quality data in a continuous and inclusive manner. This has nothing to do with technology. It has to do with problems and mitigating the problems of the people in the city. So we also provided other definitions. As we came up with that definition, we realized to ourselves that we needed to define all of these other things. What does it mean to be smart? What's a social system? What is a city? What is a model? And what is engineered quality data? What are you talking about here? So the engineered quality data is one of my favorite products that has come out of this, and our TUS team has done a fabulous job developing this, and it's such a fantastic concept. But the engineered quality data is the root of being able to identify and mitigate the root causes of the problem. And really, in short, engineered quality data is looking at the requirements, figuring out how you have to measure it, and then pulling the data necessary for that. So the concept of big data, while we can't underestimate its value, is not alone the solution. That data that we pull needs to answer questions, and it needs to be real-time, verifiable, integratable into other parts of the system, uniform, inclusive, and aligned with the goals of the city, with the way that the functions of the city are connected together, so that we can understand if there's a water shortage, it may also impact the fire department. We also propose that fundamental human needs are at the basis, at the core of what a smart city's goal should be. And we propose that each city needs to have its unique goal that is defined. And these fundamental human needs are a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more well-rounded than what we might hear as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you at the very basis for Maslow, you need food and water. But we really like Max Neef's fundamental human needs, because these aren't a hierarchy. They're all equal. And when we have a city, the purpose of a city is to bring and supply and support all of these human needs. That's why we live together and cooperate in cities. So we need subsistence, we need protection, affection, understanding, participation. We need the opportunity and time to think freely and have some space. We need to be able to create things. We need to be able to have some identity and self-expression and freedom of choice in the context of that municipality. So we propose that the goal of a smart city is to create and maintain an environment that enables its residents to satisfy their fundamental human needs by interacting in fair, mutually beneficial, and sustainable ways. So this is a very generic definition of a goal for a smart city, but really we would recommend that each city would take this basis and tailor the contents of this goal to define what their common goal would be, which is no small feat. With that common goal, we also proposed some evaluation metrics, and we have come up with a set of holistic metrics. And you see two different boxes. So we have a set of unified metrics that will be consistently used to evaluate every smart city. So every smart city can have a TUS index, and that number will be consistent. And so we will be able to evaluate Stockholm against the rural city and how that is evaluated. So those three characteristics really speak to how well the city is organized to support its success and how well it's connected to its common goal. The last two metrics on the right-hand side are the well-being index and the social responsibility index. And this is really a collaboration and reflection of what that smart city wants to do and how it anticipates rolling out. I'm going to talk about those a little bit more. So the well-being, yes.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
TUS, T-U-S, what does it stand for?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So TUS is a tailored unified system, and that acronym started from the TUS organization, which is Tailored Unified Solution or System Solutions, which is a private organization in Mongolia. They are very active INCOSE members and have been really very active members of our initiative from the very beginning. So our INCOSE-TUS model is based on the tailored unified solution associated with that organization. Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad I'm able to share that with our group, because they're so valuable and critical to what we've been doing here. So the Wellbeing Index is based on ISO standards. So ISO has several standards that provide detail about how smart cities can be evaluated. They're all distinct and not integrated. And so our proposal integrates these, which we're really excited about, and the TUS team did this very well. And the Social Responsibility Index, actually, that's part of our metrics, is based on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So several years ago, the UN put out these Sustainability Development Goals. So that Social Responsibility Index is a reflection of how well a municipality may be measuring against these metrics, should they choose to use these. We've also defined the stakeholders. So through this process, realizing that we have to engage those who deliver the smart city results. And if we do, that improves the likelihood that we'll have realistic and achievable implementation of whatever technology is involved. We also realize that, as I talked earlier, the beneficiaries of a smart city or a municipal service are oftentimes other service providers. And so in the case of the water department and the fire department is the beneficiary of having water. And those service providers, the fire department cannot provide its service without that resource of the water. And so there's a direct connection across all of our city. And so recognizing that the stakeholders are at times both a provider and a beneficiary was really critical to us in how we presented our concepts. Here's a little bit closer look at our stakeholders, and you may be able to look in there and see some of the departments that you may find within your municipality. And the language in here is written to be abstract enough so that it can be applied across international boundaries. So you may have to read and interpret a little bit to find your specific department, but that was on purpose. So this is the actual model, and this is the framework that we are proposing to use to take a look. This is the INCOSE-TUS reference model. It is a robust and tailorable and systematic way to look at a smart city and evaluate how it's integrated. Let's take a closer look. So what we see is in the center, you see the commonly shared goal, surrounded by what you may recognize as a plan, do, check, act process. So right around the common goal is that process of evaluation. Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? But supporting that goal are specific duties. And so here is where we might see a functional allocation of requirements of the common goal assigned to specific stakeholder groups. And each of the stakeholders has a place to live in this framework. And so the duties of each group, you can see, are executed and contribute back to all of the different stakeholders, and therefore are all connected together. So we feel that this robust perspective can really help us evaluate how things are all connected together. So finally, we're almost there, but I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our next steps and what we've been doing. So I mentioned a little bit earlier how the TUS team has been reaching out to the city of Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital city of Mongolia, and have been working with them well over the past several years. We've also begun conversations with the city of Monterey, California, and we have done the evaluation, and I'm so excited to hear. I'm not sure if the results of our evaluation have been shared yet with the city manager of the city of Monterey, but we know that that's in progress, and our partner has the information that he needs. And then Kansas City, Missouri, where I live, I've also begun outreaching to them to start conversations with them as well, so that we can share our concepts. Evidence here of the city of Ulaanbaatar and the model as being described by Jargal Saikan. And I hope Jargal's on the call. I'm not sure. I invited many of the TUS group to listen in with us, as they are key owners of this. And then the next big thing is working with the IEC and doing our reference architecture development. We are looking for, and as a matter of fact, beginning to think about how we reach into the INCOSE resources and find the most fabulous reference architecture developers that we have within INCOSE to help us with our IEC collaboration. This is very exciting to be able to influence actual standards development, and something that, of course, INCOSE is good at, and we would love to have significant participation with that. And then this is a little bit less haughty, I guess, or less time intensive necessarily, but we really want to put out and start to collect some solution architectures from within INCOSE. We know we have so many members who are capable modelers or would like to start modeling. This would be a fantastic opportunity to start to develop a solution architecture. So we are ready. We want to start going out. So when we go to the symposium, we're actually going to see if we can find some modelers and gain some interest, but we would love either individuals or chapters of whatever configuration or working groups to contribute their solution architectures and start contributing our INCOSE voice to this smart cities world. So that's it. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening. It's been such an honor to be able to share what we've done with you so far, and I'm ready for some questions. And
Right. Thank you, Jennifer. That was a lot of good information in a short time, actually. So well condensed to the point. I don't have anything in the chat. Anybody online, just I think unmute and speak out. I think that's okay. I would, of course, I would be interested to know, I mean, Ulaanbaatar is of course, for most people, maybe not so much known, but where do they stand in terms of their I mean, it sounds like they're very progressive in terms of what they're trying to achieve here, and how is that sort of received by the city?
So I would love to answer that, and I would even more love to know if let's see if I can see.
Well, I think they're not online.
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
It's because it's late evening for them.
It is. Yes. So Ulaanbaatar came in, and on the initial evaluation of how smart the city was, the evaluation was able to determine that some of the execution of the goals of the city were disconnected, meaning that some of the departments were not working towards the same goals and were not coordinated in their efforts and delivery of the city services. And this is really just at a very basic level of I'll go back to the fire and water example. It's unusual for that type of collaboration and coordination to go on, because it's often taken for granted that water is available. And as we recognize the importance of supplying water to that instance, there's not enough connection. I'll use another example. for transportation. If we have a transportation network full of roads and bridges and traffic signals and highways, our first responders or the ambulances, healthcare providers need to rely on that transportation network. So if a road is inadvertently closed, or conversely, a road is equipped with the signal controller that will allow the first responder's vehicle to automatically change the light from red to green and control traffic in an intersection based on the vehicle driving through, that's a significant improvement in the transportation system. That's of direct benefit to the healthcare system. And so recognizing and pulling together those connections, Ulaanbaatar was at about 65% for those. And they have been working with the TUS team over the past few years to define a common goal and then work on allocating that common goal to each of, well, really decomposing the common goal and then allocating that to the stakeholders, which obviously is not a simple process and requires a lot of coordination. And so that's where they are now, is continuing to work with the city to understand how each stakeholder contributes and working on defining that common goal.
Okay, well, thank you. Because I think a lot of the cities and countries that we sort of say in the Western world, I think are lagging behind. I mean, I think they can leap before us now because they're not bogged down by a lot of, should I say, slow policies or existing infrastructure, etc. So they can do, and I've heard some quite interesting things how, for example, Ulaanbaatar has changed they introduced a postal system where there were none before, using an app called 3 words, where every piece of the world is divided into 3 by 3 meter squares, so you can actually get the address by 3 by 3 meter close. So so there are a number of things that like that are happening, I think, these days, and I really appreciate the non-focus on technology but on human and human needs. But I'll come back to that if there's time. I should let Johan, he's in the noisy room, so I'll ask the question. Can you describe the reference architecture a bit more?
Sure. Yes. So this collaboration, you know what? And Rael, you are on the line. Would you like to talk about the reference architecture a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I can say a couple of words there. So IEC naturally has working groups that also focus on smart cities. Let me turn my video on as well. That focus on smart cities, and the level at which they operate, it's not exactly the solution level. So they're not in the at the moment looking into, for example, modeling or creating architectures for smart parking or smart water or smart healthcare, whatever service we want to target. What they are focused on is establishing some basic guidelines for how to approach architectures for smart cities. To Jen's point, different cities have different ways or different solution methodologies for how do they go about modernizing their services. The needs are common regardless of what country in the world we tend to live in. Obviously, in practice, that may not be the case. So IEC reached out to INCOSE, since we have expertise in our communities when it comes to modeling and architecture, to help them with the development of that reference architecture. So over the past year or so now, we have been engaging with them consistently to get a better understanding of some of the initial documents that they have put together. So basically, they have a document that's referred to as the Smart Cities Reference Architecture Methodology. So we've been going through that, trying to understand their perspective. And of course, we are providing our perspective in terms of what a reference architecture is from the INCOSE viewpoint. So we have had a number of experts who are part of our INCOSE community, who have had a few workshops around problem framing. Of course, it's very important when it comes to developing reference architectures to have an answer for why do we want to build that in the first place, and who the stakeholders are, who are the users of the reference architecture, and how do they use it, and for what purposes. So we are still very early on. However, I think at this point in time, we can initiate in the next couple of months the development of reference architecture models using the MBSE approach. It's going to be a multi-year effort. Obviously, at this point in time, it's not very clear where the line is between where the reference architecture stops and where solution architectures begin. So Jen showed on one of her slides a diagram, a view of that idea. So this one, and the way the INCOSE Smart Cities Initiative is split with 3 different branches, and one of the branches, the activity branches, focuses on solution architectures. So the goal is at some point in time, maybe several years from now, to be able to support the reference architecture that we are collaborating with IC, and recently ISO has joined that collaboration, to support that with a set of solution architectures that are going to be specific to service areas of interest. And this is, to Jen's point, why we are also interested in inviting people with modeling and architecture skills to join the initiative and volunteer their time to develop what's of interest to them as far as a smart city is concerned. So that's a little bit of an overview in terms of our collaboration with IC at the moment.
Thank you for that elaboration. Very good. And I guess there could be quite a lot of input here from the modeling community, but it needs somebody who sort of guides it, of course. And I think, would that be you, or who would be sort of the architect for the reference architecture, if you like?
So at the moment, I am running that initiative or that branch of activities. So I'm the point of contact with IC, and I have so as the INCOSE initiative, we have our own monthly meeting where one of the gentlemen who administers the IC Smart Cities working group also is a member of INCOSE, so he joins on that call. And in addition to that, I tend to have at least one monthly meeting with him and the architect that they have within the IC structure. And of course, we engage with a number of people within our INCOSE initiative who also have expressed interest and volunteered to support that branch of our activities. So again, we're pretty early, so we have not started any of the modeling efforts. But when we do, yes, you're absolutely right that level of oversight will need to be there, and I'm starting to prepare for that, depending on how many modelers will make available.
Excellent. Okay, I think we should reach out. There's actually the May webinar was a presentation on how architecture frameworks have been used within an hospital here in Sweden, and the person and the architect for this is part of a larger architectural network of architects from the public. So I think that could be quite interesting for them to see what you're doing. So
Tom, was that James Martin?
No, he was in April. So of course, James presented the UAF framework, the Unified Architecture Framework, and the guide to that. But then we had a Swedish webinar in May by Hans Nattvig, who's an architect at the Akademiska, the hospital up in Uppsala, and he presented how they have sort of modeled everything from the strategic views of the hospital to the actual IT systems, and then he also talked about that there's a Swedish network for those that work in the government, looking at architectural models and how they can sort of make this more consistent and across. And I think maybe that could be a good forum to reach out to. Yeah,
absolutely. That might be a great idea, Jen, to have that gentleman also present at one of the monthly Smart Cities Initiative working groups. Would be a good example.
Yeah,
Similar to
and vice versa, I think.
Presented on smart parking.
Exactly. And vice versa, I think this presentation should go into that network, the larger network he's a part of. Anyway, we always have a question from Richard. Richard, do you want to unmute or should I present it?
Sure, I can say it. So basically, I was wondering if you have any comment on how the Smart Cities Initiative, how their definition or vision compares to the Japan's Society 5.0, if you're familiar with it.
That's a great question, Richard, and thank you for asking that. So I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but at the symposium, we had a fantastic presentation from the leader of Japan Society 5.0, and I actually engaged with him for a little bit and then his organization a little thereafter. What they are doing is very similarly aligned to what we are proposing. So they too, as part of their, of course, leading so much of the technology and implementing smart cities for the Olympics and so many different places, their proposal is well aligned with what we propose and our definitions as well. And I think it's indicative. They certainly have more detail representative, and they have hundreds of people working on this initiative for the country. And so as such, they have far more definition in a lot of the details than we have been able to get into, because we're really looking holistically at how do we better each individual city. But what they are proposing, what we are proposing are well aligned, and I think it's really cool that we're all coming to a similar understanding that we need to focus on the humans, and it's about delivering what people need, not just having cool technology. So
I think they also have this emphasis on that the human is in the center.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Which actually, I just have to get that off my chest, I guess, because in Stockholm 2 years ago, we had the introduction of electric scooters, right? So I think most cities are sort of filled with those. And again, it was one of those introductions on, oh, okay, now we're smart city, we're cool, we provide these. And so you put a lot of technology, and only now, 2 years later, they realize, okay, maybe we should have some, thought this through and made some rules and then make it more. So I think that's really strange. I mean, so again, can you really, and I would like to, I mean, do you collect, should I say, cases like that somewhere where actually successful, where you've done things that you really can say that, okay, this was smart, this was a smart introduction, and this was not so smart?
You know, Tom, that's a really great idea. And Rael, I think we'll add that to what we're doing as part of this. That's a fantastic idea. Just some cases. Yes.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I have. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello,
Tom?
Jan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You talked about collaborations with the municipals, and I just wonder, is there any interest from any governmental levels?
That's
more
that's
on
a yeah. So above a municipality or above a city.
yeah.
That's a good question, and we have not taken any steps towards that yet, and really we're not focusing on trying to do that. So I anticipate we're someone to want to talk to us 100%. We would be happy to share all of our concepts, but that's really not our target audience or our focus at the moment. Certainly the practice and the process that's been developed can be applicable at that level as well, at a county or a state or however the organization is. The framework can be applied at each level in this exact same way. But that's not the focus of what we're doing right now. So we haven't taken any of those steps. Do you have some connections that you would like to make for us?
No, I don't. But I mean, a lot of this is connected rather much to infrastructure, and infrastructure most often is controlled by more on a country level or higher community level than just a small city.
Very true. Very true. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That is. Yeah. That is true.
But yeah, I have no guidance. No.
Okay.
No names.
Well, maybe one thought is that I don't know if is there a ranking for the smartest city in the world? I know that there is an innovative index, where they sort of rank cities according to innovation, and innovation index. I don't know how formal it is, but I mean that's one. Is this?
We've seen dozens, if not hundreds, of different kinds of, who is the smartest city in the world, and it depends on the definition. It really does, which is why we started asking ourselves, well, how is this one the smartest and that one the smartest? Because there's no common definition. What we have not done is figure out, based on our definition, who our smartest city is. We haven't done that yet, and I'm not sure. We're not mature enough yet, and maybe if we do get some more participants, we can start to provide what our list is. That may be a good target. You guys are great thinkers, great ideas.
Well, again, maybe it's not so much even though indexes are quite good in order to make, get attention and get people going, but I think, as you probably were referring to, it's more actually have some guidance, because everybody start from their level, and I think that's if there should be something, I think it's more the how you improve your smart index, not where you are on it, but rather how you actually step up.
Yeah,
what the kind of things you do in order to actually become smarter.
Yes, that's well put, Tom, and that's exactly what we were trying to do. Is it is less important to us where you fall on the spectrum, just where are you now, and where do you want to go?
Yeah. So how many are you in the working group now?
We have probably 15 people who are active participants that pop in and out consistently to our monthly meetings, and we definitely foresee the need to grow. We're really hoping that we can generate a lot more participation with our modeling effort and make it easier for people to plug in and contribute individually or as smaller teams. So we are really excited for that opportunity, and hope that is our next big growth area for the initiative. Mm-hmm. We have almost 100 people now on our communication list. So lots of interest, and people are starting to come to us. So that's cool too.
Yeah. Very good. Well, let's hope that we can, get some Swedish representation in there, because I don't know if there's anyone so far.
No,
No?
just
Okay.
you.
All right. All right. Okay. Seems like a mission here now. Oh. All right. Anybody else who wants to have a final word here? Otherwise, I thank you, Jennifer, so much. I will share this, and let me, before we sort of end the meeting, let me just put on the final slides I had here. So do I share something? Do you see my screen at all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So so we've done that. So again, thanks a whole lot for joining. And again, then even though we were a small crowd here, I think this will reach out to quite a lot of others, and will make it available on our website. So and actually, I think I had sorry, this seems like anyway, I will mail this out to those that were here and put it on our website. Jennifer, will you share the slides as well? Jennifer, you muted.
You bet, Tom. I'm happy to share the slides.
Okay, cool.
Bet.
All right. All right. So with that, thank you all, and enjoy the, well, maybe I see some of you at the symposium. That would be cool. And if not, enjoy the vacation, summer, or I guess we don't have anyone from the southern part, otherwise we've been in winter as well. All right. So thank you.
Yep.
And have a good rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, Tom.
Thank you for the presentation. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.